Hello folks and welcome. Linux Mint 21.1, Mate Desktop. Today I'm going to talk about remote sync backups, Rsync backups. And I'm filming in 1920 by 1080, just wanted to tell you that right up front. And I'll try to enlarge some of the text as I move forward when I get into discussing script files, because I'm going to show how to create scripts completely from scratch. And I'm going to be using Rsync or remote sync for making backups to not only one device, but many. Internal hard drive, external hard drive, and a USB stick, using files and folders. There are plenty of tools out there for automated processes out there, but I'm going to use Rsync by using scripts today. And I'll show how to do all that completely from scratch. So I'll say welcome, folks. This video will be more than 2 minutes. But all of my videos have timelines and chapters on them. Subscription key will be running the whole time, in case you want to subscribe. I have lots of other material. Alt F4 to close this box, and I'm going to open up the file manager for this distribution, which is Kaja. So our user for today is Mr. Senior, just a made-up name. I have some files, and I have some music, and I have some pictures, and a folder called Stuff for backup purposes. I also have 3 devices. An internal backup drive, which has one folder which will remain here the whole time. That is a fairly large backup drive called Backup. The name of the internal hard drive is called Backup. You can see the yellow box of what the system calls it. Then I have a USB 1, which is a USB external hard drive, 240 gig, and a USB stick, roughly 15 gigabytes. All right, the USB 1 and 2 are formatted with FAT32. There are plenty of tools out there you can use to format your internal and external devices. The device in this case is storage devices, is what I'm referring to. So I'm going to use 3 of these guys today in my demo. So the first thing I'm going to point to is a script that I wrote. I have 2 of them. What I did was I wrote one, made a copy, and altered it. Okay, obviously you can see the word copy here. So let me open up the simple one. And I'm going to explain this completely from scratch. I'll make this a little bit larger. I'll explain what that statement means and what all this stuff does. But I'm going to first run this one. This one's a little bit more complex. All right. But I need to make some boxes. I need to put this up so you can see this in action. So Control N is my first, Control N, let's try this again. I'm just creating boxes. Here's one, another Control N, here's another box, and Control N is a third box. And I'm sorry I can't make these any larger, but I will try to enlarge some of the files. So I'm going to leave this demo folder on the internal hard drive, and USB 1 and 2 are empty. So this is our slowest device. Okay, and there's the path right there, and you can just point to these things and it'll give you a yellow pop-up to tell you what the system calls that. So that one says / media Mr. Senior USB 1. This Mr. Senior, again, is our user. All right, so Mr. Senior has a script file. And it is I don't know where that came from, but I think that's what I misclicked earlier. So I'm going to get rid of that. Anyways, I was talking about these 2 scripts here. So what this one is going to do is make folders here, here, and here. So as this thing is running, I'll just talk about this. So right now it's starting to create folders. I'll make this a little bit larger if you like. Well, actually, that's probably a poor example. But let me explain what the script is doing. All right, so it is currently running a copy of documents and music over here. And then it's going to switch over to document and music on USB 1, which looks like it's finished on both these devices. And then on USB 2, it's going to do documents, music, and this folder called Stuff over here. That will be the last thing that it's going to perform. And this is the slowest device out of the 3. So whenever you're writing scripts, allow the thing to finish. Okay, I know you can't see anything. However, if you have the luxury of having lights on your devices, blinking lights, LEDs, whatever you want to call those things, just let it finish. It's actually done. So what happened here? Well, it made, let me resize this one. It made 2 folders here, 2 folders here, and 3 here. Because that's the way I wrote this thing. If I rerun this thing, it will not have anything to do. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it right now. All it's doing is verifying. But it verifies nonetheless when I rerun this that the originals did not change. So it's already made a copy of my music and documents. Forget about this folder because that was already there. Okay, that I told you that when I started this that needs to be there. So it's created these 2 here on these 2 devices and 3 on these devices. So let me give you an example of what I mean by when it has nothing to do. All right, so first of all, Rsync, I'm going to reopen this, and again, I'll explain how to write this completely from scratch. So what Rsync is doing in this case when I rerun it is verifying that my source document folder in Mr. Senior did not change to these whatever lines that I'm going to. In this case, it's going to backup, and documents also to USB 1, and documents also to USB 2. It's going to verify that none of those changed. Then music, and the last folder is stuff. If nothing has changed, the script has nothing to do, but it does verify nonetheless. So let me give you an example by opening up the music folder on all 3 devices. So you agree that it has 4 folders, and these actually do contain music, okay? Like there's a bunch of songs in here, in other words. Let me go back to here. So I'm going to open up that one so you can see there's 4 folders, 4 folders, 4 folders. USB 2, USB 1, backup device. Now I'm going to go to the original, and I'm going to create a folder in here. So the user, Mr. Senior, decided to add another album. Just humor me here. And the Hello World is a very popular album, still more humor, and I populate that with music. Now that's a new album that Mr. Senior has, but he wants to make a backup. But he wants to do that using that script to 3 devices instead of dragging these folders manually. All right, let's go back to our script and rerun this thing. What it's going to do is only create those folders. It's going to verify everything nonetheless. Hello world, hello world. Here, I'll just point to them. Now, the nice thing that the script did was because I originally made a backup, it doesn't have to recreate the wheel and recreate these folders. And it knows that by the attribute of your files and folders. It knows that by the properties of your files and folders, or directories as Linux calls them, for folders. Let me show you an example of that one, or maybe this one, it doesn't matter which one. So I'm going to go, since this has a documents backup, and so does this one, and USB 2 has the same, I'm going to open them up on all 3 devices and pick a file. It doesn't matter which one I pick. I don't know what cabbage is in here. All right. So fat burning soup, cabbage, enter, enter. I'll write the word test so you can see that the file is going to be altered. As soon as I hit save, it changes the attribute of the file, right? Also the contents in this case. But nonetheless, Rsync will know this based on the properties of the file that it has been altered. Now cabbage text does not have that reflected currently because it just starts with basic fat burning soup, and fat burning soup. Now I'm going to run the script and you'll see these blink, or maybe not. It'll be that quick. It's finished. Test, test. Test, test. And the last one. Test, test. It didn't have to duplicate anything else. That's what makes Rsync faster the second time around, because it doesn't have to reduplicate your files and folders. There are tools out there that you probably are aware of that do backups. You may be even using one of them right now to do system backups. You were asked to activate Timeshift. I don't remember if I activated mine. Let's find out. I did. Mine is active. Guess what it's using? More likely Rsync. Just wanted to point that out. It's making backups of my system files, not personal files. It's excluding my personal files. And that's what makes Timeshift very fast. It's backing up my system files. I'm using Rsync in a different way. I'm using Rsync to copy my personal files, not system files. Timeshift is system files. I'm using it for personal files and folders. So far, so good? All right, it doesn't matter which device I select. You can use a single device if you like. Let's talk about creating a script from scratch. I'll use backup as our guinea pig. So I'm going to create another script file and throw it into this folder here. I'm going to first start with my main menu and type in TX or text. You should have a text editor already installed. Do not use a word processor. Okay? Text editor is what I recommend to write script files. Small, lightweight text editor. If you don't like Xed, which is built into Mate, you can install others through your software manager. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write a script, and I'm going to start with a pound, and I'm using the upper row key of my keyboard, standard keyboard, by hitting Shift and number 3. It produces a pound, and still holding the Shift, I press the number 1 and produces an exclamation point. I'll make this larger in a second. /bin. I just type in // is found near your enter key, and then bash. Now I'll blow this up. Probably should have done that before I started. Anyways, pound, exclamation point, no space, / bin. Oops, one more /. Now it's correct. That is called the bin bash statement in my book. And that needs to be started when you are using Rsync statements. It's going to be using bash, born again shell. Would you like to know how that's spelled? Let me open up terminal. I'll make this bigger also. All right, so maybe you're aware that what manual pages are, but maybe you're not. So you can open up terminal and type in man for manual pages. And there's a lot of commands in there that have definitions and usage. And this is no exception. Man bash gives me the definition not only for what this is, but also how to do some options. All right, born again shell is what that stands for. I'm going to hit Q and I'm going to type in man rsync. Rsync is remote sync. That's what we're going to be using throughout this video. Rsync, or I'm going to be using. It's a fast, versatile, remote and local file sharing tool. I'm going to hit Q. So if you're using an exit, if you are using the Timeshift utility, you are already using Rsync. Rsync again is remote sync. Now Rsync has many options. You can find that information on the man Rsync in terminal, or you can look it up online also. Rsync-A is what I'm going to use today, the archive option. It's very powerful also. It creates folders and subfolders and files. Space. I need a source. So what am I going to use for a source? Let's find something. Let's use this guy as a guinea pig. Okay, we don't have pictures, so let's use pictures, or I'm going to use pictures. So basically, if I open this up, the path in here is going to be home folder, sorry, / home / Mr. Senior Pictures directory or folder, right? Instead of typing all that stuff on this line here, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use a tilde. Tilde can be found to the left of your number 1 key by depressing Shift, and it produces a squiggly line. I had a child one time walk by. I was writing a script many years ago, and she said, "Oh, that looks like a worm." Well, okay, worm it is. Squiggly, tilde. All right, / again is found near your enter key. That tilde / means my home folder. In this case, Mr. Senior's home folder. And now I just need the name of the folder, and it's spelled with an uppercase P, pictures. I also suggest when you do your own folders is to make the names simple. Okay. So anyways, that becomes my source now. You can try this on your own. So tilde / pictures is my home folder for Mr. Senior. It's the same statement. Instead of this saying home / home Mr. Senior pictures, it just says tilde / pictures. Hopefully that was clear. So all I'm doing is reducing some keystrokes here. Now I'm going to put a space, and the next thing is, where am I going to be making a copy of this pictures folder to? Well, I'm going to use backup device. Now I'm going to point to this thing and allow the mouse to sit there for a second, and you should have a yellow box pop up. It says / media something. In my case, it's media Mr. Senior. That's my user. / backup. The name of the device is spelled with uppercase letters. All right, so I could technically type that in manually, or I could open this up and then type, or at least grab a hold of this part of it. This is just one way of doing things, and paste that in there. So however you get this job done, I still need more characters because I need to put in a / backup now. So now I have / media Mr. Senior, another / and the device name. In this case, it's called backup with uppercase letters. That's important to understand. If I type this with lowercase letters, this script will not work too well. All right, I need at least one space in between my source and destination. I've heard comments about people going, well, I tried 2 spaces and it works great. Okay, do so. I'm just used to using 1 space. Okay, 1 space or more, how's that? Find out what works for you. I normally use just 1 space, but I'm going to use 2 in this case. And I'm going to stop at this point because I'm only going to create 1 line for this first example. So what I'm going to do is save this. Save as. Where do I want to save it? Well, I might as well throw it in my scripts folder because that's where I started these things. Does it have to be in a script folder? Absolutely not. You can put it in any folder you want. You can call it X if you like. But I do need to give this thing a name. So I will call that one, I don't know, test 7, whatever. Just to give it a name. All right, and I'm going to close this and go find that script file in Mr. Senior's script folder. So test 7 it is. So you remember when I double clicked on this, it gave me the option of run terminal, display, cancel, and run. The reason for that is because the file is an executable text file. This is not currently. So when I click it, it just opens this up in Xed, the text editor. And the reason for that is because I need to set an attribute on this file. Right-click, Properties, Permissions. Allow that to be executed as a program, or run, in other words. Okay? Now I have the option of run or display, or edit it in this case. So far, so good? Okay. So what is this script going to do? Let's double-click and hit the display. It's going to copy pictures to backup. It currently doesn't have that. So let me run it. And there's our pictures folder right here on the bottom. Completely with all the photos, or wallpaper in this case. Actually, I think they're mixed. I have a photo in here too, along with wallpaper. I could also make shortcuts on the desktop. Let me show you how to do that. All right. So basically, I'm going to make a launcher that points to this file. I can also make fancy icons to go with it. So in Mr. Senior's folder, I have another folder here with a ton of icons that I could use. You may have seen some videos on custom stuff that I've done in the past. Okay, so basically I have some choices, in other words. All right, so more importantly, we're going to just deal with the basics. Make a shortcut to that. Right-click on your desktop. Create a launcher. Okay, and it's going to be an application launcher that's going to point to the script file. So you can call it whatever you want. So I'm going to call mine exactly the same thing as the script, test 7. And then I'm going to hit the browse for command and go find that folder where it's contained. And it's right there, and hit open. So that's the complete path. I know you can't see that, so I'll scroll over with my mouse. I mean my keyboard, sorry, keyboard. Scripts test 7. That's the command line. I'm going to leave the icon, and it actually won't be this icon. It'll look like a file when I get done. Comments are optional, so you can type in what you want in here. Okay, it kind of looks like a text file. Double click, and it starts creating that pictures folder. This may be too quick for some to see, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this again. So now take a look at the bottom screen while I click this. All right, it's finished nonetheless. Okay. Now, if I wanted a fancy icon to go with this thing, because again, it looks like a text file, I could right click, hit properties, and click the actual icon itself. And in my case, I'm going to go over to here and find something. All right, what do I want to use? I'm going to use this compass icon because it looks cute. Why not? And then I'm going to hit close. And now I have a compass icon to go with this. Now, if I rerun this thing, it's not going to have anything to do because there's nothing here currently. There's nothing here. In other words, there's nothing that's changed here. So let's give it something to do. So I'm going to go over to here, and I am going to reduce these if you don't mind. I know you can't see these. And I'm going to right click and create a folder inside of my pictures folder. And I'll just call it Hello World. And what I'm going to do is rerun this, and it'll replicate that folder in here. Because now the script has something to do. So the other thing I could do also is I'll use USB 1 for this next example and the backup device. So let me click this once and hit Control N, get another box going, and I'll use USB 1 on this one. This one currently does not have the pictures folder. So I'll throw in another folder in here so it'll give the script something to do. Except I need to write a line that allows me to copy the pictures folder also in here. So let me go to the scripts first and write it and alter that script. Test 7. I'm not going to alter the launcher, just the script. By opening this up by hitting display, and then I'm going to actually rsync. I'm going to right click and copy that line. Click in the next one. Click the next line down. And then I'm going to hit paste. But instead of doing it pictures, backup, which is redundant, I'm going to use USB 1 on the tail end of this one. Okay, so now the lines are different, and I'm going to hit save. All right, so what it's going to do is it'll back up pictures folder to not only this device, but this one also. This one here, we'll have to recreate the folder and the subfolders. But in the same process, what I'm going to do is, since we're doing pictures, I'm going to add a third folder or a second folder, Hello World, or I'll just use the word test. 1, 2, 3. And hopefully you can see this. I'll scroll to the top here. Hello World and test 1, 2, 3. All right, so far so good? All right, I'm going to rerun the script. And what you're going to see here is it'll create the folder here and also create the subfolder in here. All right, so test 1, 2, 3 is here. The pictures folder with the other folders is here. So that's how you can alter your scripts rather easily. So as you can see, these are very versatile. You can make links. You can run them directly in here. You can make copies of these things and then paste them, rename them, open them up, make extra lines, change the device names, change the folder names. My advice is when you create folder names is make them simple and always check your scripts to make sure they're properly running your backups. Always check your scripts. Now, you can see what I did today. I went from an internal hard drive to external hard drive and a USB stick. It could be just going from your hard drive to a USB stick, or if you have the luxury of an internal hard drive. These are very versatile, and so are the scripts. You can also download different tools, of course, from Software Manager, but I'm just showing you something that's built in. And scripts are very versatile when it comes down to copying folders and files. Thank you for watching.